Hello, this is a short overview about the new National Building Construction Standard 2026 for India, focused on function integrity and fire load reduction. This is advertising where the solution is explained by using products. It's important because we need some examples. The National Building Code is cancelled and the National Building Construction Standard is published on 13 April 2026. It is restructured, more safety, performance-oriented approach to ensure quality in the buildings. It is more performance-oriented for new innovations and new solutions. But it's voluntary in nature and not binding. This is very important at the moment, but we think that the local authorities will integrate this step by step in their regulars. And also, very interesting is the National Electrical Code with more and more informations how to use electrical components in the building. Today, we speak basically about part number F, fire and life safety, and part number D, building services. These two sectors or two parts are very important today for this small information. Important, these points are adopted from the National Building Code 2026, so some points. It is interesting that some regulars here are now going to the construction standard 2026. The question many times is, who is the typical person who must think about the new National Building Construction Standard? Very easy, planning, designer, consultants, and also you see fire protection engineers. The requirements of this standard should therefore be taken as a guide, and engineering design approach should be adopted for ensuring a fire safe design for buildings. Depending the time on it, qualified and trained fire protection engineers should be associated with the planning of buildings. Very interesting. And here it's clear, adequate fire and life safety measures could be incorporated in the building design right from the beginning. It means directly if you're starting with a new project, you must scope on this. But interesting also, absolutely fire protection or absolutely safety from fire is not possible. This is also clear in the standard and has helped us to say we put the maximum, we do everything to have a safe building, but if something happened, if somebody will be injured, we know absolutely safety is not possible. The forward is also in part number F, fire and life safety. This is the minimum standard for fire safety, and this is a guideline for passive fire protection. Interesting also is that these requirements minimize danger to life from fire, smoke, fumes, or panic before the building can be evacuated. This is interesting. Behind this is the point of self-rescue, that all the people go out of the building by himself to be sure that the firefighters later only help the injured people who are in danger, and all the other peoples can make a self-rescue. Emergency power supply and distribution system for critical requirements for functioning of fire and life safety system and equipment should be planned for efficient and reliable power and control supply to the following systems and equipments were provided. Interesting. Planned is, again, designers, consultants, safety engineers. Fire pumps, pressure and smoke venting system, fireman's lift, exit signal lighting, emergency lighting, fire alarm systems, public address systems, magnetic door, hold open devices, lightning and fire command centers and security rooms, and many, many more points are now in the focus to be sure that this system works during fire conditions. You see here, the power supply of the panel distribution boards of these fire and life safety systems should be through fireproof enclosures tested and certificated. This is important to be sure that you later have a quality product. To ensure supply of power is reliable. This is also very interesting because you must guarantee it's working during fire conditions. The locally of the panel distribution boards, for example, in a fire safe zone, or you have another solution of power to the system. You must guarantee it works. And then you see here in part number D, terminology, the electrical supply system for life and safety service, a supply system intended to maintain the operation of essential parts of any electrical installation and equipment for health and safety of person and livestock. This is now also interesting. It's more focus on the animals. This is very, very interesting. And to avoid damage to the environment and to other equipment. This is also now you must think about the completely project to be sure what happened outside. Yeah, what's the risk for outside? What's the risk for other equipment? Yeah? And then also you see that in part number D is a jumping to part number F, fire and life safety. And also you have some information about the cable, fire survival, yeah, that the cable must work under the fire condition. This is also clear now. Part of the cable is also, for example, a junction box. And then we have more information about the circuits. The circuit, you have circuit number 1, not so important for fire protection. Circuit number 2, it could be interesting because it could be some alarm information. And circuit number 3 is very important, fire alarm circuit, emergency lightning circuit, and many, many other important circuits are under this category. Fire survival distribution boards, which continues in service after exposed to fire to the requirement system ratings. This is interesting, and here's also the information external influences. This is also, for example, fumes and hot gases. Here's not only fire. This is interesting because sometimes in the building you have 400-degree hot gases, or you have, for example, 800-900-degree hot smoke. Sometimes you have cold smoke. It depends on your building and depends on your project. But the safety engineers are expert in this. They know this. One solution is, for example, such a fire-protected cabinet. Distribution of supply and cabling here is also, again, general planning and design. This is very, very interesting. You must be sure that this works. And you see the power distribution system is on high demand and safe protection in event of fire, low fire load, low space requirements. These are some new points, and we will later see they are really interesting because low fire load is a reduction of burning material in the building and also especially in the escape rows and in the floors. You see here, we jump now back, part F, terminology, and here you see, for example, fire compartment, and you see, for example, again, fire load. Yeah, and you see exactly there's written floor or buildings. It means the fire load we speak before, you need a low fire load to be sure that not so many burning material is in the floors and also in the stairs and the escape routes. And then also we have the fire resistant. The fire resistant is on one point the stability. Another point is, for example, the integrity, resistance to flame and hot gases. And also very important to be sure that electrical components work is the isolation, resistant to temperature under fire conditions. And then you see that the isolation allows one point with 100 degree more, or for example, 140 degree middle temperature. It is interesting. Radiation is normally for glass solutions. And then The fire resistant rating is how many minutes you need. 30, 60, 90, 120 minutes. This is also in the terminology of the new construction standard. Fireproof enclosures, you see, tested and certificated, and they are now very, very interested because we think about the space requirements, low space requirements. You like to reduce the quantity of rooms. You can make a room, or if you have not enough space for the room, you make such a small cabinet and put your electrical components inside. And then also there is interesting from the cost thinking, because in the big cities like Mumbai, it is much more cheaper to take a cabinet than to take a big room, because then you have more space for selling and for renting. This is how we do this. Protected against fire, certificated with a fire test, for example, with a European or Indian test lab, and then prevent against smoke and hot gases, also fumes. And then we can guarantee that, for example, the equipment inside is working. You see, we make the test, included the cables. This is finish of part number 1. And if you need more informations, please look on part number 2. Part number 2 is more praxis and shows more solutions how to do it. Thank you. Bye-bye.